music from this era was just like freaking cool. Just cool music. All right. So much of as I want to continue to listen to this cool music, we got to get into it. All right. So I appreciate you guys for coming. We had some other RSVPs, but I guess hopefully they'll just come in a little late. The purpose of this class is to figure out like get into business, like make some money. How you find business, right? And there's a number of different ways to do that. There's always so the fastest ways that in general typically is going to be through the four, and you'll hear me say this over and over again. The four top ways to find business is the lowest hanging fruit, which typically is your for sale by owners, your expireds, your cancels, and your open houses, because these are people that have risen their hand to say, hey, I want to sell my house, I want to buy a house, so on and so forth. However, those are not the only ways to find business fast. Those are just the most common ways to do that. I'm going to talk a very little about some of that stuff, but in today's session, I really want to dive deep into like what are other strategies and tactics that you guys can implement that'll get you into business a little faster. And some of this is sort of leveraging the people that you know, as well as some of your time. So one thing that I think has really been powerful for me in the past is to reach out to your sphere of influence, right? So your SOI can be really powerful. And a lot of people think about their SOI in the wrong way. You look at your sphere of influence as, oh, these are people that I can do business with. Do not look at your sphere of influence as people you can do business with. Okay? You do that, and your sphere of influence is going to stop talking to you. You understand? Because if you call them and you keep asking them for business, they're going to be like, I'm not answering Ann's call. Right? You want to talk to them. If you're going to talk to them, you want them to just know that you're in real estate, and your goal is to make them smarter. You want to make them smarter. So every time you talk to them, you want to educate them on what's going on in the not every time, but you want to, whenever you talk to them about real estate, you're not asking them for business, right? Most of the time, you're just trying to inform them about what's going on in the market, like where are there opportunities for them if they decide to go into, just so they're aware. Hey, listen, I wanted to share this with you because I important for you to know, right? For investing opportunities. If they're not living in a home they own, hey, there are some opportunities. So, like for example, if someone's not is renting in a home and they're concerned because it's expensive to buy now, which it is, and it's expensive to borrow money now, which it is, then maybe a conversation to let them be aware of is like, hey, listen, what are you paying in this place? Like, are you aware that, that there are low interest rates in new construction homes, right? So just so you know, like there are options out there, right? So typically when you share that information with your SOI, don't share it to them for them. Say, listen, I have some information that if you talk to anybody, please let them know that interest rates are not just at 6.725, whatever number they're seeing in the news. It depends. I have right now there are builders that are offering amazing incentives. They're offering as low as 4.9% interest rates for people who have really good credit, and they're offering closing costs, and they're discounting on their purchase price. So anyone you see what happened right there? I don't even know you. Imagine I'm your friend telling you this. You're gonna be like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? So all of a sudden that change is like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, Gus knows what he's talking. He knows some stuff. Yeah, maybe I can do it. But if I said to you, hey, make sure you tell that to anyone that you talk to if you run to. I know you're not looking to buy anything right now, right? But now I just put in your head that maybe, well, hold on, Gus. Maybe I might be interested at that with those numbers. That might make sense for me, right? But you're not talking to them about trying to pitch them. You're telling them, hey, make sure you tell your friends, tell your family. I'm calling you to let you know because I care about you. I love you. I want to make sure that you know and that you share this with your friends and family because they should know. Because even though you might not be looking for a home right now, you might run into or talk to somebody who does. And by having those conversations, what happens? They're at work, someone's talking about buying and selling a house. All of a sudden, I got something to share. You know why? Because Ann called me and she told me about this new construction home and interest rates, interest rates, interest rates. And they're gonna be like, oh no, interest rates. Hold on, hold on, hold on. You can get a house for like, 4.95% interest rate. That exists, right? And you know what they're gonna say? Oh wow, Gus, how do I do that? Uh uh you know what? Let me get you in touch with Ann and you see what's happening now? So whenever you talk to your SOI, you wanna make sure you're educating them. Now, here's the thing. It's not that you don't ask them for business. What you do is you start with making them smarter every time you talk to them. And what that builds is reciprocity every time, right? That's funny. I have two Anns in here. So I was going to use your, so I'm going to talk to you now, Ann. I'm sorry, what was your name?
Christina.
Christina. Okay, cool. All right. So every time Ann or Christina calls me and gives me some new insight, right now I'm more informed and I feel like I know more. And now I want to hear from you because like every time I talk to you, I just get new information. Like I am smarter now, right? You've made me smarter, and people want to hang out with people that make them smarter because it makes me look good to everybody else. So every time I talk about real estate, I'm like, oh yeah, I know all this stuff about real estate because I got a real estate friend who tells me all kinds of information about real estate and makes me smarter. But that starts to build reciprocity. Does everybody understand the concept of reciprocity here? Right? Now I feel like I owe you like something. Thank you for making me smarter. I feel like I should give back to you. So when you do decide to make an ask, it feels much easier for me. Like I don't feel like, oh God, he's asking me for business. It doesn't feel like that because you've poured so much into me. I feel like an obligation. Like, of course I want to help you out. So when you do reach out to them, you ask them, hey, listen, uh, and I'm calling you because, Ann, I'm calling. Doesn't matter. Uh, there's too many Anns. All right, hey, listen, I'm calling because I have a goal of helping 15 families this year, and I know that you're not looking to buy a home, but if you can help me out to help 15 families, that would be really helpful for me and my business, and of course, it would impact my family. So, who do you know right now that's like thinking about or is considering like making a move? And after I've poured in so much to Ann, Ann's gonna feel like, oh, well, of course I would help you out. It's gonna help your family. You want to help families, like you want to help people. Let me think of somebody. I can't think of anyone. Okay, no worries. But now Ann has in her head, Gus is looking for someone who's thinking about a move. So now the reticular activator become engaged. Reticular activator is the part of the brain that identifies things that are important. This is what happens when you are thinking about buying a new car and all of a sudden that car appears everywhere. Oh my God, everyone has the BMW that I'm looking at. Oh my God, right. It's everywhere. It's always been everywhere, but it feels like all of a sudden it appears. That's your reticular activator because there are too many things that we see. There's too much stimulation in life. Our brain has to be like, there's a lot of junk here. We're going to get rid of this junk. Your reticular activator is what helps you identify the things that are important. And when you have identified something in your brain that something's important, that reticular activator starts to apply. So now that oh, you know what? I want to give back to Gus because he's given so much to me. My reticular activator is now active, and I'm going to be listening for people that are ultimately thinking about moving or talking about a move, or they're frustrated with their rent or their whatever the case may be. And I'm going to now say, oh, you know what? Have you thought about? Are you looking to move? Because I have a guy that can help you out, you need to call Gus. Gus is the person you need to talk to. I mean, he's the one I get all my information from. For sure, he can help you out. And a referral, there is no amount of money that you can pay that will give you the value of what a referral does, because you are able to build, you're able to borrow the trust of the person that they trust. You understand? You're able to borrow the trust of the person they trust, which there's no money in the world that you can't pay for that. Trust is earned. You can't buy trust. You know what I'm saying? So because trust is earned, you get to borrow that earned trust from the other person. So what I would do if I were you is, if you're already actively, giving to your sphere of influence, which you guys should be actively doing as regularly as possible, reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I'm currently in a growth state in my business. Right now, I'm looking to help X number of people. This year, I want to try, not people, I would say families, X number of families this year. And I'm hoping that you might be able to help me out. Like, if you can help me out with this would be really amazing. Who do you know right now that you've heard is even considering maybe doing a move or not? And you'll be surprised. Like, you know what? Now that I think about it, my mom's best friend was just talking about a move, and I didn't even think about that. They're just, because the reticular activator wasn't active, they didn't realize that was something they needed to be looking for. So I would actually go into your phone book and literally go A, B, C, and just contact everyone and you say, listen, I'm trying to reach this many. This is how many families I want to impact this year. If you can help me out, this would really help. This would be really impactful for me and my family. You'll be surprised how many people are willing to help you. Okay. So sphere of influence is a really powerful one. So make sure that if you're going to leverage a sphere of influence, like I said, don't open with this conversation. This is a closing conversation. You open with value, right? So you open with value, right? You start with value, and then you make your ask. Okay? So whenever you're working with your SOI, you always have to start with value, because you want them to see you as valuable. You don't want them to see you as, oh my God, Gus is calling me again. He's going to ask me for business, and then he's going to ask me how my family's doing. And it's going to be the same thing every single time. You don't want to be that person. Okay? When you talk to them, this is the thing that you will have to understand with your SOI. Okay? When you're talking with your SOI, if you're providing value as it relates to your profession, the likelihood is you don't have to ask them for business. It's going to be like a default. They're going to be like, of course I'm going to work with Christina. Of course I'm going to work with Ann, right? Because clearly every time I talk to them, they're like giving me insight on what's going on in the real estate market. And every time you talk to them, you should talk to them as if you're like giving them insider information. Like if you work in the stock market, be like, hey, you need to buy it right now, right? You need to sell, right? Whatever the case, but you want to talk to them as though you're giving them insider information. Hey, did you know about, I would even like, inflection in your voice even helps to provide them a sense of like, oh, there's an inner, like you're an insider. Hey, have you heard about this? Like, yeah, have you heard about this portability thing for taxes for homesteaded homes? Have you heard about that? I would talk like that. Have you heard about this? Like, because then they're gonna be like, no, what is that? Yeah, that's what they're gonna say. Well, what is that? Well, I mean, look, with portability, if you sell your home and you buy another home, you can take the taxes from the home that you have and port them into the next house. So instead of paying like $7,000 in taxes, the $3,000 you pay, you can port that over into the other house. And then you just pay the difference. It's crazy. And they're going to be like, oh my God, really? Yeah, it's nuts. I just took a class on it. It was amazing. If you know of anyone who's looking about moving, you make sure you tell them about this. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to completely forget about all the details and just remember the part that there's something to do with your taxes and that you can save a lot of money. And then they're going to say to them, well, how do you do that? And they're like, I don't know, but you need to call my friend Ann. You got to call my friend Christina because they're the ones who told me about it. You need to talk to them. They're the ones who clearly know what they're talking about. You see what's happening? So that's where when you want to start with value with regard to your SOI. Okay. Now, for sale by owners and expireds. So this is an area that I think I know I talk about expireds and for sale by owners all the time. Most people go after the expireds and for sale by owners that are immediate. There are actually two areas of business in specifically in expireds, expired and cancels. But for sale by owners, I would try to see if you can find. It's a little hard to find old for sale by owners that didn't sell. Those are a little bit more challenging to find because they're not listed anywhere. But sometimes you can find them. So the way that you would go into MLS is you look for like canceled or expired listings where there was you can identify the type of listing that it was. So if it's a limited listing, the likelihood is that was a for sale by owner. A limited listing typically is a for sale by owner. They basically pay a flat rate for the broker to just throw their listing on MLS.
How do you identify as a limited listing?
So limited listing is one of the parameters that's in MLS. So in the all the way at the bottom, there's an other where you can add parameters. When you click on that, it'll open up a window that allows you to add the parameter for the type of agency, the type of service that was provided. And when you open up that window and add it, then when you go back to it, you'll have a little option now to select what kind. Was it full service? Was it limited service? Like it'll give you options. You click on limited service and you look at expires and cancels, and now you have access. Those are for sale by owners that didn't sell. At least not on MLS. They didn't sell on MLS. At least they could have sold, but on MLS it doesn't show them as a sold, right? So that could be a way to find older for sale by owners. Okay. Now with expireds, most people attack the expireds that just expired. I oftentimes would do that, and then I would go after expireds that were like 90 days old. Because agents by this time have stopped calling them. They're probably not getting phone calls anymore.
I have a question.
Yes.
So how do you take the challenge of those people who've had it on the market and took it off?
Yep.
And now are discouraged to sell because the realtor they had prior to them to the job that they wanted didn't get them the number they wanted?
Sure. So that's a great question. Now, here's the thing you have to think about. Why do people move?
They move because they're jobs probably, or just because they just want to relocate, family. We don't, everybody's circumstances change. So
Sure. Would you say that most of the time they move because there's something that's happening in their lives that's causing them to have to make a decision like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so typically it's pretty serious. It's not usually like, oh, because I don't like my kitchen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Usually there's something happening in their lives that's causing them death in the family, they're having a new baby, the job move, or they want to be closer to family, whatever the case may be, right? There's something that is causing them. Their motivation is usually pretty high.
Yeah, government jobs now not guaranteed, so a lot of people
Correct.
are scared.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things that are kind of in play, but typically their motivation is pretty high. So when you contact them, the fact that they didn't sell, even if they had a bad experience with a previous agent, they typically will still have a motivation to sell. It may not be like, I got to move right now, but I got to move.
Yeah.
Right. So you first got to figure out like what happened, right? What happened with why do you feel like it didn't sell? And they'll tell you.
Yeah.
And it could be they think the agent did a terrible job. It could be that something else happened in the circumstances, right? They may have had an excellent experience with their agent and they were overpriced and they just didn't sell and they just got tired of having it on the market. It's all kind of reasons, right? Like that. But at the end of the day, what you want to understand is, why do they think it didn't sell? And then you would also want to understand, are they still interested in selling? If you brought them a buyer, would they still be interested in selling? The answer is yes. Then they have motivation. Yeah. So now you got to get clarity on like what happened, what prevented that sale from happening.
And
And
sometimes people think their house, because they put so much money into
Mhm.
it, it's worth that.
Yeah.
That's where the struggle is. It's like, it's not, I get you put that money into it,
Mhm.
but it's
But
not,
that
it's not gonna sell for that. price.
correct. So that's where the skill of the agent has to come in. This is where you have to, as an agent, communicate to them to help them understand that what they're asking for is not rational. And you have to do that skillfully because you don't want to tell them that they're being irrational, right? So that's part of like the mastery session will kind of help walk you through some stuff like that, right? I don't have time to necessarily cover that in this session, but that's where we would get into like skill set of how to have those conversations, right? So expireds, so getting older expireds are going to be something, those are going to be some low hanging fruit. And some of those expireds and cancels, they may have just decided not to sell. It is possible too. They may have already sold. That's also possible. But for those that didn't, that still want to sell, they're no longer getting bombarded by agents, right? So now you calling them is not like, oh my God, your agent number 25 calling me about trying to sell my house. Stop calling. You're not going to necessarily get that anymore. Okay. So now you're going to be more, there's a higher chance for you to potentially convert them because they've gone through that flood of agents that were blowing them up and they were overwhelmed and now they don't want to deal with it. So now you're one of only a handful of agents that might even be reaching out. Okay. So I would look at older for sale by owners. The other thing I would look at is go to luxury. You go to luxury and you find people that are expired and canceled over 6 months. Because luxury sellers, oftentimes, they want what they want. They typically want to move, but they usually don't have to move because they usually have the means to be able to stay where they are. The question that you want to get from those luxury sellers is, well, what happens if you're not able to get the price that you want, right, for another 10 years? Are you okay to just hold on to the property? If the answer is yes, I'm okay to hold on to the property, okay, great. That's what I want to know. Thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your life. Because they're probably not going to adjust their price to something that's going to be reasonable. But if their answer is, oh no, I can't wait 10 years. I mean, I can maybe do another year or so, but I can't wait 10 years. Like, okay. So what is it now? You want to start asking questions like, what does it mean for you to sell this property? What are you planning to do? What's the plan of action, right? And you start asking those diagnosis questions that we talk about in mastery, right? You got start asking those diagnosis questions so that you can get more clarity on where they are. And then you might be able to have a deeper conversation about, well, if we can get your home sold in the next year, and get you to where you need to get to, would you be willing to sit down and have a conversation with me? And they may ask questions like, well, how much are you trying to sell it for? And what's your commission? Like, hey, listen, before we get into any of that, honestly, I don't even want to have that conversation until I actually get a chance to get eyes on your home. So if it's okay with you, why don't we schedule a time for me to walk the property? I can get familiar with what your property has, all the different features it has. I mean, I can try to provide an assessment of value. To be quite frank with you, for luxury properties, I usually do 2 appointments. I do 1 appointment to assess the property, to get familiar with it, and then I use that information to help me determine where value is. Because every luxury property typically is pretty unique. And it's not until I walk it that I get an understanding of how unique your property is as compared to other properties that are in the similar price range. So I
When
usually,
you come, you go, you do your research, and then you go back and then tell them?
so yes, I will go do a walkthrough of the property. I'll talk to them. Build relationship with them. So it gives me 2 things to do, right? Because remember, I'm not competing. They're not in the market, right? They're not actively looking for an agent. So I'm probably not competing with anyone. So I got time. So I'm going to leverage that. I'm going to use that time to build relationship. I'm going to meet with them once, they're going to walk me through the house. I'm going to get familiar with, hello, hi. I'm going to get familiar with the home, but I'm really also trying to build relationship with them. get an understanding of what are they trying to do, where are they trying to go, what's important to them about the sale, right? I'm building relationship. So that's one personal interaction that I have with them. It'll be probably like half hour to an hour worth of time that I'll be doing that to really build, and hopefully they get a chance to see me and all that good stuff. I'll also get a sense of like what their expectation is. If I, for example, if you've never done a luxury deal before and you're walking through and they're like, well, how many luxury deals have you done? Because they may ask that question, right? You say, as a matter of fact, I would be honest with them. As a matter of fact, I haven't done any. The reason why I'm here is I'm trying to assess which of my luxury partners would be ideally suited to get your home sold as fast as possible. You see how you flip the script? I'm sorry?
You're not doing it yourself then?
If they're asking you how many luxury deals have you done in the past, and you say, I have not done any, you think you're going to get the business? No, you're not. If they're asking you, they want to know what kind of experience you have. And if you have no experience, you are not getting that listing. Guaranteed, you're not getting it. They're not going to look at you and say, you know what, Anna's really nice. I think I'm going to give her my $2.5 million listing. No one's going to say that to you.
Depends what you consider luxury. No.
But my point is, if they're asking you, that's what I would say. You immediately, I would just immediately shift gears, because as soon as you say, no, I've not done it before, this is going to be my first, they're going to be like, no, it's not. It is not going to be your first. Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you. You seem very nice, but you're going to have to find someone else to be your first on that. Right? So
An apartment to that.
that's it. Absolutely.
Especially on your first
If they're, yeah, I mean, listen, luxury is a unique animal, right? It's a difference, not the same as what your typical home. There's a lot of different other elements you have to include. It typically is a little more expensive to market, right? So there's a lot more expense involved. I would bring in a partner. I would bring in a partner regardless. I mean, obviously you don't have to, but I would bring in a partner regardless. And I would watch them like a hawk. What I want to see exactly what you do. Take a lot of notes, include me on all the emails. I want to be involved in all the meetings. Can I be I'll be a runner for you. I will sit in the office and write notes for you. You want me to paint your nails? I'll do that too. Whatever. Like, you want to learn, right? You want to see what's happening. What are they doing? Because once you get that information, now you can, okay, I see what I can do now. Now you have information on what to do next time. And when you have conversations, you can talk to those things that the other agent that you've seen that has done, right? So rip and repeat. That's basically what we're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're learning. You're figuring out how do top agents handle this kind of thing. Now, they may not ask you. If they don't ask you, don't worry about it. If they don't ask you, then what I would do is I would ask for like a luxury agent to say, hey, listen, can I pay you 25% to just be my mentor on this deal? I just want you to mentor me through this deal. I will do all of the work. I just want you to, if I have a question, I just want you to be available to answer a call. Would you be willing to do that? And I'll pay you 25% just to be available for a call. I don't need you to do anything else other than that. And I mean, you'll be surprised. A lot of agents will be like, yeah, I'll do that for you. No problem. Okay. So, so that's the way that I would look at that is, when you're looking at expireds, look at older expireds. And then if you're looking at luxury, because a lot of people don't call luxury expireds because they're nervous. They're like, I've never done luxury expired. I don't know if I want to. What if they ask me if I've never done luxury before? You have an answer, right? What's your answer? Yes. I'm trying to identify which of my partners would be ideally suited for this particular luxury home, right? So that's how I would present that. And I guarantee you they're gonna be like, oh wow, that's impressive. Like, you're coming, I'm a consultant. And my consultation is that this luxury partner would be ideally suited to get your home sold. Based on what you're telling me, based on what you're trying to do, based on what kind of experience you want to have, this luxury partner would be ideal. I wouldn't put this one because this one they do things differently. I don't think that you guys are going to mesh. But this one right here, I think this person's going to do really, really well for you. As a consultant, that's my recommendation.
And do you need to know in advance when you go over to them?
I would have a couple people in your pocket. Yeah, I would have at least 2 or 3 people in your pocket.
All the people that are on the wall that do luxury, or
They don't all do luxury. So what I would do is I would have conversations with the various agents. There are some agents that are specifically designated, like have luxury designation. So you can talk to Heather to identify who are the luxury designated agents. They get that designation based on the volume of luxury that they do. You have to have a certain number of luxury deals in order to have that designation per year. So I would go to Heather. I say, hey, listen, Heather, who are the agents that have luxury designation? And then once you have that list, it's not going to be everybody. It's going to be probably maybe 8 to 10, maybe 12 people in the office that have that designation, if that many. So I would, hey, I'd love to, sit down with you, meet with you, have lunch with you, right? I am going to be calling expired and canceled luxury opportunities. And there may be a situation where I may need to bring you in to take the deal. Is that something that, yeah, would you be open to? And then, the exchange for me is it would be a referral, and I would want to be like as involved in the process as possible. And I can be your runner, I can be your whatever. Like I just want to be your assistant on that deal so I can learn all the things that I need to learn. Is that something that you'd be open to? Some agents will say yes, some agents will say no. That's fine. Just figure out who they are. And then I would ask some basic questions like, what do you feel like your personal style is when dealing with these luxury? And some are going to be super structured. Some are going to be a lot of the warm and fuzzies and stuff like that. So I would have a little diversity, right? There's going to be some people that they like a super highly structured, like systematic type of person to manage their luxury, and you'll get that when you meet them. And there are other people that are just like they're in the wind and they butterflies and berries, right? They want the love and caring, and they just want the warm and fuzzies, and they don't really care about the structure, but the warm and fuzzy, the feel is what matters to them, right? So you want to have a couple people that you can potentially say, oh, well, I think this person's going to be a better connection with the consumer. Exactly. So have those people in your back pocket ready and available. Say, just let them know, listen, I can't guarantee that anything's going to come from it, but I'm going to start making phone calls to generate business. And if I run into a situation where I feel like it's going to be more than I can handle, I'd really love to partner with you on that project if you're open to it. I'm sure they would be open to it. I can't imagine that they wouldn't be. Okay. So that's what my recommendation is. Okay. So, now, the other thing that you want to do is if you've already, if you already have people that you're currently talking to that they're interested in wanting to buy property, but then maybe they're on the fence, right? They're like, oh yeah, I would be interested in buying, but interest rates and blah, 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 whatever the case may be, right? Obviously you have everything that's on the market. Make sure you leverage the stuff that's off market. Are you guys sending the off-market listings to buyers?
No, I didn't, what's the benefit of that?
So you have expires and cancels, just like you can reach out to them to try to get a listing. You can send those to your buyers. Go into expired and cancel and withdrawn, and I would even send the temporary off market and the pending, honestly. Send those to your buyers. Okay? Send them to your buyers and say, listen, these are off-market listings. I can't guarantee that they're going to be available, but these are people that wanted to sell. If any of these listings look interesting to you, please let me know, and I will go ahead and find out if the seller is still willing to get it sold. So if they send you something, what I would do is I would send them those listings, and I would contact everyone that you sent them to. I would contact all of those sellers and say, hey, listen, I have a buyer that's looking exactly for your house. Now, obviously, the buyer has to make the final determination if this is the right house, but your house checks all the boxes. If I brought you this buyer, are you still interested in possibly selling? And if they say yes, then okay, great. Then I would start talking about compensation. Well, would you be willing to cover the buyer side compensation? Now, the reason why I'm not talking about listing yet is because we're starting with value. We're leading with value. Hey, I have a buyer. If they like it, I would like to go ahead and bring this buyer to you. You want to sell, we can make a deal happen. Great. My compensation. And for that, because I'm going to be handling both sides, is whatever. I would do a little bit of an increase of what you might normally charge, right? So I would identify whatever your compensation is that you would get on the buy side. I might increase that because I'm going to be doing both sides of the deal and just share with them, hey, listen, I'll do the whole deal for X. Would you be willing to pay that? Which will be a discount from what they're used to hearing, right? So then now you have potentially a deal that can happen. Here's the worst case scenario. The buyer says, no, this house is not going to work. Okay. You call the seller and you say, hey, listen, my buyer took a look at the house. Unfortunately, this is not going to be a right fit for them. You know, they're looking for something a little bit different. It sounds like you are interested in selling. Is there any reason, switch it over? Is there any reason why you wouldn't put this home back on the market? It seems like a really nice home. And now you're having a conversation about listing. You've already brought them a buyer. And if they say, well, why should I use you? Well, just for clarity, you weren't even on the market and I brought you a buyer. What do you think I can do if I could put you on the market? I mean, that's sort of a mic drop scenario right there. Like you weren't even, I wasn't even working for you. And I brought you a buyer. Imagine what I can do if I actually have some the opportunity to actually list your home. Now, this is in addition to whatever presentation you're going to be doing, blah, 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 right? Okay, well, what does that look like? That's a great question. I would love to sit down with you and kind of talk to you. Let's get that. Let's sit down and talk about what that looks like. We'll talk about values. We'll talk about what it looks like to work with me, and then we can figure out what your net proceeds are going to be. Oh, what's your compensation going to be? I don't talk about any of that stuff until you actually have a chance to sit down and talk. Well, I need to know what your compensation is. Listen, I think that's a fair question. It's a very fair question. But, you know, if I told you that I had a car to sell and you needed to buy a car, and I told you, yeah, I can sell you this car for $10, would you buy the car?
No,
Why?
I think something's wrong with it.
Right. You don't even know what you're buying.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
That's the way that I would frame that to the seller.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, no, what do you mean? What's wrong with it? Like, exactly. Is the price really the issue? Or do you want to know what you're buying?
Yeah.
So if they say, yeah, I want to know what I'm buying. Well, exactly. That's why we need to sit down. I want to show you what it is that you're buying. And then when we start talking compensation, you'll have context as to what you're paying for. Correct. So that's the reason why you want to do that. And they're going to say to you, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. I do want to know what I'm buying. Okay, let's schedule a time. So that could potentially get you in. So leverage your buyers to find sellers. You see what I'm saying? Leverage your buyers to find sellers. Because once you know what kind of buyers you have, then you can do some additional work to find those sellers. Go on off market and tell them, I have an active buyer that's looking for exactly the house that you had. It checks all the boxes. Now, you always want to do a caveat. I can't guarantee that they're going to walk into this house and be like, this is exactly what I want. There could be they may not like the color or the flooring or the who knows what, the neighborhood. I can't guarantee anything like that. But this house otherwise checks the boxes that they're looking for. I would love the opportunity to show this house to them. But before I do so, I'd like to chat with you about whether or not you actually want to get it sold. And if they say yes, then you get into the compensation question. Would you be willing to cover compensation if the buyer decides that they want to move forward? And now you have either a deal, right? You either have a deal right there if the buyer says, yes, I want to buy it, or you have a really great opportunity for a listing appointment because you've brought value up front. Make sense?
Yes.
So make sure that you're leveraging. Yep. Leverage buyers for sellers. Okay. It's a big one. Okay. Now, there are some people, this is a tough one, but it can work. This is a tough one, but it can work. You can target renters, but what I find is most renters are not really positioned to buy. They're not positioned to buy. So what I would suggest is that you do a home buyer workshop and target renters for a home buyer workshop. Now you can target anyone for a home buyer workshop, but I would definitely I would include renters in there. If I were you, because of the current environment that exists right now, I would even do a home buyer workshop that is like a DIY workshop. How to buy a home without an agent. I know that you're like, wait, what? Here's been my experience. Out of 10 people who say, I'm going to take this class and learn how to do this thing on my own, out of 10 people, maybe 1 or 2 of them will do it. The other 8 are going to be like, this is way too much. I do not want to do all this work.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. Once they see it, they're like, oh, I do not want to do this. Maybe we need to, wifey, maybe we need to talk to a professional to do this, because I'm gonna mess this up. We're gonna mess this up. This is a 6-figure, 7-figure purchase. Do you want to mess a 6-figure, 7-figure purchase up? No, nobody wants to do that. So you're gonna get your 1 or 2. They're gonna take exactly what you teach them to do, and they're gonna go out and they're gonna go ahead and try to buy a house, and they may be successful. The other 8 are gonna be like, holy crap, this is way more than I bargained for. I did not expect this. I don't know that we're going to be able to do this on our own. Maybe we should consider getting a professional. So in that same workshop, you tell them, hey, this is how you do it on your own. I'm going to show you all the tips, all the tricks. Here's the process. Here are all the documents you need to know. This is the thing that you should do. This is how you negotiate. This is how you go through the transaction, right? If this sounds overwhelming to you and you want to consider what it might look like to work with a professional, I will say 95% of the time, I'm able to negotiate my compensation from the seller. So that means that most of the time, you don't have to worry about my compensation. If you are interested in learning more about what that would look like, I'm happy to sit with you and have a consultation. That's not going to cost you anything. There's a QR code. Please scan that to start a registration. Because the other 8 people are going to seriously consider that. So just think about that. For every 10 people you have in a room, 80% of them are going to be, at the end of that, going to be thinking, maybe we need to consider that. And that's who you're after. That's who you're after. Because for sure, there's going to be 1 or 2 people that are going to say, I'm going to do this. I took all the notes. I'm going to do this. I know I can do this myself. For sure. But those are not the people you're going after. You're going after the 80% that are like, I don't know if I want to do this. So that's what I would suggest. I would suggest it so much. For those of you who already know, am I a commercial agent? I do exclusively commercial. Do I not? Okay. It's such a good opportunity. I partnered with a residential agent and said, hey, listen, I will organize this for you. I just want to get a referral on those deals because I know that there's opportunity there. Because I don't want to work those residential deals because I don't have time. But it's such a good opportunity. I'd be willing to put it together just for the referrals. I just want to make sure that there's clarity on what I'm telling you. It's such a good opportunity. I'm willing to do all the work to put that together just for the referral. You understand? So I really want to emphasize to you guys that doing this kind of workshop is going to attract the kind of people that you want to talk to and will put you in a position to potentially get business. But you have to go through the process of putting that workshop together. Okay? And I know that a lot of times it's like, oh, but I haven't done very many transactions or I'm really new to this. Everything that we're teaching right here in this session and in other sessions, in the mastery sessions, right? All that stuff is giving you more than enough information to be able to share with the public. I guarantee you, just the mastery sessions alone is more information than the public will ever understand. Because you guys are coming and regularly attending and doing homework and writing contracts and putting together listing agreements and all the stuff that's involved in doing real estate. You're basically turning what would be essentially a 6-week session into like a 2-hour session. So, I mean, you obviously can't teach all of that. So you don't need to know all of that. You just need to know enough to be able to fill 2 to 3 hours worth of time and be able to show them, hey, this is what the process looks like. This is what it would, this is the thing, these are the things you have to do. These are the steps. Here's all the paperwork. Here's all the documentation you need to know, right? Overwhelm them with information and then let them decide whether they want to go on their own or if they want to work with someone. Make sense? Okay.
And do you do it on Zoom or in person?
I prefer in person. I prefer in person because by,
Connect better?
yes, you always connect better in person. Always.
Can you get a partner, like a lender?
Yeah, I would totally, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want to do this in tandem with a more experienced agent so that you have like someone else who can kind of chime in for things that you might miss or whatever, put together a nice PowerPoint presentation or use Google Slides to put together a presentation. That's what I did. All right. And then that's your session. And then you just do that once a quarter. Let's say you only get 2 deals every time you do that. Once a quarter. That's 8 transactions. Every transaction is worth about $10,000. Is it worth $80,000 for you to do 4 workshops a year? I think it is.
For sure. Right?
That sounds like a no-brainer when you put it that way. You're like, well, yeah, of course. Why would I not do that? So please do it. Please find a way to do that, right? Find a partner if you need to, right? Another agent if you want to do it. Split it with them, however you want to work it out, right? So that each of you guys do your work. But you got to promote it. You got to, right? You got to make sure you get people there. But that would be a good one to bring to maybe promote to like apartment complexes and stuff like that, right? Send a mailer out to apartment complexes in addition to other promotional things that you do, right? To make sure that you can find potential buyers that are going out there. And of course, what do you do once you have your buyers? Find sellers. You see how the system works? Pretty cool, right? So you find your buyers and your buyers will help you find the sellers, which is awesome. So what you're doing, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Right? We did a workshop, right?
For networking,
We're networking, okay. What else?
building relationships.
Yeah, yeah. What else? Most important part.
Already said that.
Mm-hmm. Is there, am I talking about, is there a deal before this?
No.
You're putting a deal together. You're finding a buyer, right? You're finding a buyer and you're putting a deal together out of thin air. You see what's happening? This is proactive business as opposed to sitting back and waiting for a buyer, going to an open house, waiting for buyers to come to you, trying to, having your listing and waiting for people to call you about your listing. Like there's active, right? There's active and there's passive business. This is active. This is going out and getting business, making a deal happen, right? Where you're just not passively doing stuff, you're actively doing stuff. And you're actively doing stuff that's going to be highly engaging. A workshop is highly engaging. You're going to be able to talk to all those people. You're going to have 2 to 3 hours of time with those people. This is an opportunity for you to showcase your expertise. And the expertise that you need to show them is going to be on a slideshow that you're going to be using as a cheat sheet for the whole session anyways. And from time to time, they may have a question. This is why it's a good idea to bring in a partner that might be a little more experienced, that you may not know the answer to the question, so that if you're like, that's a good question, and you look to your partner, like, right? And your partner says, yes, that is a good question. I'm glad you asked it. The answer is, right?
Right,
So this is why it's good to partner with an experienced agent, even if you just bring them on for the day, right? So I would say, hey, listen, if you come with me, I'll put everything together. If you come with me, any deals that we get out of this, I just for being there, and then I would like you to kind of help me through the process. I'll pay you just a referral for anyone who becomes a lead for me. If that turns into business, I'll pay you a referral. It doesn't have to be 25%. 25% is what you do for a traditional referral. You can pay any percentage that you want
Or a standard fee.
or a flat fee, whatever. You can pay whatever you want. It's up to you. Like people are like stuck on 25%. You don't have to do 25%. You can charge whatever you want. You can give whatever you want. I mean, I have all kinds of splits that I do that have I don't even pay attention to 25% anymore. I don't.
Okay.
I look at, well, what am I doing and what am I getting? What does the exchange look like?
Right.
Yeah. If for something like that, I would be like, hey, listen, just for showing up and being an expert on the day of, that's all I need you to do. I just need you to be an expert on the day of. Any deal that happens, I'll give you 10% on any of those deals that close. Just for being there until I get the expertise to be able to answer those questions like that. Because you want questions to be answered. And if you don't feel comfortable being able to answer those questions, you want to bring somebody who can answer those questions. And you want to be able to give them some benefit for coming. And you may not have the cash to just give them, hey, I want to pay you for your day's time. Not everyone has that or is willing to do that. But I'll give you 10% of anyone who turns into business from this workshop. Yeah. If I close on anyone who comes to this workshop, I would happily give you 10% for having been there and been available. Why not? 10% of $10,000 or $15,000 is better than 0% of nothing, right? So you might as well. So that's what I would do. This is where, like, the one thing that I can really, I want to emphasize, and I talk about this all the time, and you probably heard me say this 1,000 times. Once you learn how to leverage in your business, once you understand the power of leverage in your business, the whole game changes. There's so many agents that really do everything they can to do everything all by themselves, and they end up running themselves ragged. And they're stressed out all the time. The moment that you understand how to leverage in your business, that the game changes. Because now when you leverage, it allows you to do more with less time. Right? If I could do twice as much business, but it only cost me a third, right? I can do twice as much business, but it cost me a third to be able to do twice as much business. I'm winning. Does that make sense? So leverage is a big deal. So I would definitely say partner wherever you can. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Obviously, open houses are a big deal. If you're going to do open houses, I'm going to put open houses up here because you can make a lot of money with open houses. Do you have a question?
I hate to interrupt.
Yeah, what's up?
I just want to see where your lockbox is. I started going through your office. I couldn't find it.
Oh, shit.
Did you not bring it?
I did not
I
bring
have
it.
one at my house. I'll be a couple minutes late. I'll put mine on.
Oh, okay. I appreciate you. Is it just a combo?
Yeah, it's just a combo.
Okay.
All right.
I'll bring mine and we'll switch.
No worries. I can just leave that one on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
No, you're not.
All right. So with
Open house.
open houses, thank you. So with open houses, if you're going to do open houses, okay, this is what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to wait till Wednesday to schedule your open house for Saturday. Don't even waste your time.
Yeah.
Don't. No. Because you know what you're doing? You're literally like you're waiting till the last possible minute to do an open house, and you're gonna get the least return on your time for having just Wednesday for a Saturday. If you're gonna do an open house, you really need to do a strategic open house. There's a few things that follow, obviously, the open house playbook we talk about all the time. Follow the open house playbook. There are two things that the open house playbook does not cover that I think should be in there. And one is be strategic about location. Actually, three things that I would say. But the two most important ones are be strategic about location. Where is traffic? Your location for your open house should be based on where is traffic. You should not be any more than 3 turns from the neighborhood from a major vein of traffic. Because if you're close to traffic, your signs are going to bring more people. If you're not close to traffic, good luck. The majority of people who go to open houses are just driving around looking for signs. You got a few people who go to Zillow and they're strategic about trying to find their house because they're trying to buy a house on their own. But most people who are open house shopping, right? They're just kicking tires. They're just the thought of the ideas in their mind to possibly buy something. They don't want to bother an agent because they're not really serious right now, but they're following signs. And if they're following signs, if the majority of people are following signs, then what you want to do is you want to be where there's traffic. You want to have your signs where there's traffic, and you don't want to be more than 3, maybe 4 turns to get to the neighborhood. Because once you get to about 3 turns, people are like, "Where the hell is this? I can't find it. I'm turning around. I don't got time for this." People don't have a long attention span. So you got about 3 turns before you can get them in the neighborhood. If you can at least get them in the neighborhood, then they can be like, "Oh, they're looking at something now. Oh, this is the house. This is the neighborhood the house is in. Let's look at the neighborhood. I have something to look at." So you at least need to be 3 turns into the neighborhood, right? There could be a few other turns in the neighborhood, but you at least have to be 3 turns into the neighborhood because they can at least be looking at the neighborhood. Up until that time, they're not looking at anything. They're just looking at how to get to the house. Once they get into the neighborhood, they're now eyeballing the neighborhood, right? So you want to be within 3 turns of the neighborhood for the open house. So location is important, okay? Now, traffic. People think of traffic and they think, oh, you're talking about I need to be close to State Road 50 and I got to be next to US 27 and those are the only open houses that I can do. No, that is not the answer. Traffic is traffic. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. So that means that churches, synagogues, mosques, they have services. That's traffic. If you're close to within 3 turns of a church, synagogue, mosque, or anything like that, that works. That's traffic. Just time your open house around when they have services. So when their services are over, if their service is over at 12, your open house better start at 11:30. You see? So that as they get out, they see the open house signs. Oh, let me go ahead and let's check this out. Typically, if they're coming out of church or a mosque or synagogue, they probably don't have a ton of things to do. That's usually their relaxed time. So their downtime, they're probably happy to take an extra 20 minutes, half hour to go check out a local open house. They were, oh, look at that. It's close to my church. It's close to my synagogue. It's close to my mosque. I can live close by. I could ride bike there. We could walk here. Whatever the case. You see what I'm saying? So look for traffic. School. When school gets out. If you're close to a school and school's getting out, specifically elementary and middle school, there's going to be a lot of parents picking up their kids from school. The same applies, 3 turns from the school traffic. So even though you're not 3 turns from US 27, 50, Citrus Tower, if you're 3 turns from that school traffic, you better go there on a Thursday or a Wednesday or whatever. And when school gets out, you make sure that you're there, you're open about half hour prior to school getting out because you're going to get all those parents. You can get all those parents. And that's an awesome opportunity for someone who wants to live closer to school. You get parents all the time. How many times if you've worked with enough buyers, how many times they say, I want to be close to school?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
90% of the time.
They want to be close to the school. And if they're not close to the school, they want to move close to the school, which is silly to me because,
That's why I moved close to a school.
yeah,
Where I moved.
yeah, you want to be close to school. But that's only temporary because like once they get out of like middle school, now they're going to high school. I'm like, oh, I got to move again.
Because it depends on the rating of the
It depends, yeah. There's all kind of variables, right? It's all kind of variables. But a lot of people want to move close to school. So I would say find if you know that there's a school that's really, hot that people want to move to, identify that school and make that strategically identify that that's a school that people want to go to, then I want to do open houses around there. Where are the places where I can do open houses around that school? You see? Be strategic about it. Don't just do an open house willy-nilly, right? Be strategic. Identify like where's traffic, like, okay, so that's location. The second thing is have a piece of value, have a significant piece of value that it would be silly for a serious buyer to walk away and say, I don't want that. That you can email or text to them. In other words, don't have something that you can tangibly give to them. Have something that you can send to them because that changes how serious they are about giving you a real contact information.
Mhm.
The default that I always went to was I had my list of actives that were in the area. So I usually would do an open house. I'll have a list of like within maybe a mile or two of all the actives. I didn't care about price. I didn't care about any of that because when people are following signs, they don't know where they're walking into, right? They don't. So if they're walking into the house, they have no idea if it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom, does it have a pool, does it not have a pool? They have no idea. They're just walking in. Sometimes they're walking like, I don't think this is going to fit, but we're already here. Let's go ahead and stop in. Let's just see what this house has to offer, right? But that's okay. If you have a list of homes that are available and you have in that list the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, or whether or not it has a pool, all that good stuff. If they say to you, oh, this house is really not going to work for me, which is probably true for 90% of most buyers. The open house they're going to is not the home they're going to buy, right? So they say to you, oh, really, I was looking for, an extra bedroom and I was really hoping for a pool. Oh, great. Well, it looks like around here, you have a list now. It looks like there are 3 other houses that match what you're looking for. Have you seen the house on this street, that street, and this other street? And what's cool about this is also a profiling element. If they say, no, I don't know those, right? Then they haven't really been actively looking. It's like, okay, great. Would you like to see them? That may be an opportunity. Yeah, okay, great. Let me send them to you. And then why don't we talk this week about scheduling some time to go take a look, right? You're not trying to close them. You're not trying to get them to sign anything. Hey, I'm going to send you some information and we'll have a follow-up conversation about going to see these properties. That's the way that I would do it. What's a good email for you? Great. What's the best number to reach you at? Awesome. They want to see those properties. You can give them those properties, right? Now, if they say to you, oh, no, I don't, the house on Main Street and Center Street and Cross Street, no, we don't like any of those houses. What is that telling you? They know those houses by name. What is that telling you?
They like that area. They're familiar with the area.
Yeah. But they know them specifically by name.
Also, they've seen them.
Yeah, well, they're serious. They're for sure serious. They know them by name. They remember them by name. They're serious. They didn't just be like, oh, that's nice. They probably looked at all the pictures. They may not have even physically seen them, but they definitely looked at all the pictures. They probably read the description. They looked at all the stats for that house. Like it fit all their criteria. And they just said, no, this is not going to work for us. But they definitely did some homework on that house. They know it by name. Yeah, they're probably serious. So if they're serious, that's someone that for sure you want to get on your list of people to be engaging with because they're serious. You see the difference? Now, if they've seen that, what's our other option? They saw the on-market homes. I'll give a hint there.
The ones that were off market.
Yes. You do a list of off-market listings, expires, cancels, withdrawals, temporarily off market, pending. I would include all of those. Those are all off market. Why do we include pendings?
Because the deal doesn't go through.
Correct. If a deal doesn't go through, 25% of the deals right now are falling apart. That's 1 in 4 chance for that deal for that opportunity to become available for that buyer. So if one of those pendings are a perfect match for them, we definitely want to be like, hey, agent, I have a buyer who's interested in your under contract house. Would the seller be open to just a quick walkthrough because we think we might want to put in a backup offer? And see what they say. Worst they could say is no. Okay, great. Thanks for your time. Find something else. Or wait for it to come back on the market or whatever. Okay. So
So the open house attendees and you want to show them additional properties, how would you approach it with EPA? You want to show them properties.
so you're not going to show them properties that day.
Right, I know.
Okay. So the way that I would do is I first will show them what properties are available.
Okay.
So that's where I would want to get their information. So I have actives. Here's some actives. Oh, you've seen those actives? Here are the off markets that match what you're looking for. Well, usually when you say, have you seen these off market listings? They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Well, there are some off market homes that match what you're looking for. Off market. What is that? Oh, well, these are homes that people were trying to sell. They were not able to sell, and now they're currently off market. So I'd be happy to share them with you. If any of these are a good match for you, maybe we can figure out an off-market opportunity that might work for you. Now they're interested. They're gonna be like, oh, this agent is like, okay, I didn't ever even know there was an off-market option, right? So now you have their email and you send them that stuff. Now you go through your traditional follow-up. Hey, what do you think about the off-market listings that were any of them of interest to you? Do you want to take a look at any of them? What about any of the other actives that I sent you? When they say, hey, you know what? I think we want to take a look at something, great. I'd be happy to do it. When's a good time? You don't tell them anything about, oh, meet in my office yet. You just ask them, when is a good time? I have Wednesday and Friday afternoon available. Do either of those times work for you? Yeah, I can do Friday. Okay, I have the morning or the afternoon. What do you prefer? I prefer morning. Okay. Looks like I have 9, 10, or 11 o'clock. Which one do you want to do? 10 o'clock. Great. We're going to meet at my office at 10 o'clock, and then I have to go over some legal documents that I'm required to share with you, and then we can go take a look at the property. They've already committed to the time. Now, they may say to you, well, why do I have to do that? I'm like, according to the new rules, I am required to share with you some documentation, both from the state and from my brokerage. It's some documentation that it shouldn't take more than about 15 minutes for me to go over with you. It's important that you understand what the documentation is. And then you just have to agree that we're on the same page with the documents that I'm sharing with you. And then from there, we can go ahead and then I'll be permitted to open up the home.
What if they say email it?
I'm sorry?
What if they ask if you can email it to them?
I typically don't email the documents.
How do you respond?
I would just say them. I would just let them know that this is documentation that I prefer to do in person. Yeah, before we go take a look at the house. If you want to see the house, we have to go through this process. Because part of that is going to be I also want to explain to you what the new processes are. There's a lot of new things that have changed in real estate. We just want to make sure that you understand exactly what your options are. And at the end of the day, you don't have to use me to go into just you give them caveats, give them outs. Hey, listen, you don't have to use me to go purchase a home. You're not required to use me to go purchase a home. I am required to share some information with you. I do want to present to you what your options are so you can see which direction you want to go in, and then you make a decision on how you want to proceed. So there's not going to be any real solid commitment. The only thing that we have to ultimately get an agreement on is if you want to see this property, I have to get a document signed that says that you understand the process and protocol as it relates to showing this property. That's it. So do you have any other questions? Okay, great. So I'll see you on Friday at 10. You see?
Yes.
So that's the way that I would handle something like that. Okay. So open houses, you want to have a good piece of value that you can share with them, because that piece of value is what's going to help show them that you have value. Because that's the biggest challenge right now that we're seeing. People are not clear on what value we as agents have in the process, both on the list side and the buy side, even more so on the buy side. They're not clear on where the value is. So we have to provide them the value. And that means that we have to give before we can ask. We got to give a lot before we can ask, right? So we got to really show them on the front end how much value we bring to the table, so that on the back end, when we make our ask, again, reciprocity, right? Okay, I'm willing to give you a consideration. That's all you're asking for. You're not even asking for the business. You're asking for a consideration so that we can sit, have a consultation, and then you can make a decision on how you want to proceed. Because that's really all you need, okay? Yeah, in Command, when you go into Command, on the very top, you'll see Command, and then you'll see Connect. Click on Connect, and then look up Open House Playbook, okay? So the other thing is time to coordinate, right? Because you're being strategic on location, you want to know the location at least by the beginning of the week. I would say by that Monday at the latest, okay? Ideally, now this is not something that a lot of agents like to do, but ideally, I would recommend that you door knock ahead of time the neighborhood to invite people to the open house. I recommend that. This does two things, and people always think about door knocking for open houses as, Oh, I'm going to be out in the heat just inviting people to events. Yes. And you're also showing the neighbors that you are willing to hustle to get a listing sold. They don't know whether that's your listing or not. All they know is the agent who's doing the open house is hustling through the neighborhood to get this home sold. They're knocking at my door, inviting all the neighbors to this open house. And then they might say, you know what, let me go check out this open house and see what it's all about, see what they do. You're going to find typically whenever your home gets sold in the neighborhood, within about 3 to 6 months, another home is going for sale.
Yeah, that's true.
So that means that if you're doing open houses in a particular area and you're doing door knocking and they see you a couple times, they're going to probably say, you know what, this agent's like on top of their shit. Maybe we should use them, at least give them a call, right? So this is an opportunity for you to introduce yourself to areas, to specific neighborhoods, whenever you're doing door knocking as a potential listing agent for a home that they're trying to sell.
So how many days before the open house would you door knocking?
I would probably do like that Thursday or Friday for a Saturday open house, for example.
Yeah.
If you're doing like a Thursday open house, I would probably do that like Tuesday. You want to give people a day or two of time. Like I would say 2 days if you can give them like a heads up
Yeah.
before they make any plans, to just let them know that there's going to be an open house. And oftentimes the invite is twofold. I always do, hey, I'm just my name's Gus. I'm going to be doing an open house up the road, and I usually say the person's name, Mr. Smith, asked me to reach out to all the neighbors to let them know that there may be more traffic in the neighborhood than what you typically might see. You might see some cars you don't recognize. It's probably because of the open house that we're doing. I just want to make sure that you were aware in case you see some folks in the neighborhood that you're not familiar with. And most people are like, oh, thank you. Like they're really appreciative of that. Listen, if you know anyone who's interested in moving into the neighborhood, this is a great home. Feel free to, invite them to come over. It's an opportunity for you to choose your neighbor. So if you know of anyone who's looking to move into the neighborhood, right, or is considering maybe making a move, this would be a really great option for them. And then before you leave, I would say, okay, great. So I hope to see you there. And then they may say, well, I don't know if I can make. Hey, no worries. Just make sure you tell whoever might be interested. Okay, I appreciate your time. Oh, by the way, do you know of anyone else in the neighborhood who might be thinking about making a move? Now, what am I doing?
You're also turning it back to a potential sale.
Yes, but am I asking them directly if they want to sell their house?
No.
No. So it allows them to be like, oh, they're not trying to pitch me. They're asking me if I have any knowledge of anyone who's looking to sell a home, right? So it's a soft pitch. And what that does also is if they are interested in selling their home, what do you think they're going to say?
Actually, I am.
Yeah. Actually, my wife and I were just talking about that. Yeah. Oh, really? Tell me more. Right? And now you're in a conversation for a potential listing. So you get that. And then, of course, you're always going to run into the nosy neighbor who's going to be like, well, Sally across the street, they're about to get a divorce for sure. They're going to have to sell their property. They're a hot mess over there. They're always complaining. And then you're going to have to listen to this rant for probably another 15 minutes, right? Like, okay, thank you. All right, I got to go. But thank you for the insight, right? So now you know that there's someone potentially that might be looking to sell. So for that, I would probably door knock. And then for that address, I would probably send a letter. I'd probably do a golden letter. Hey, just wanted to let you know that we had an open house recently. I'm reaching out to all the neighbors. You don't have to reach out to all the neighbors. You know that one is potentially selling. I'm like reaching out to all the neighbors just to see if you had any consideration for making a move. I'd be happy to help, right? So these are opportunities for you to generate business. These are all opportunities for you to generate business, and you're leveraging stuff that you're already doing. So the reason why you want to have your open house ahead of time is because there's all kinds of leverage points that you can use to build your business in other ways. So obviously there's the marketing side of it. You want to definitely be, if you have a Saturday open house, you want to be marketing by Wednesday. So you want to have at least 3 days, 2 to 3 days of like social media and whatever else you're going to be doing for marketing. Door knocking is always helpful with if you can get a partner to print out like the door hangers and stuff like that at their cost. That's also helpful. So I would definitely do that, right? So that way people know. And then of course you have all other conversations with people in the neighborhood. So these are all ways for you to sort of generate immediate business, right? Now, the other thing that I would suggest if you have listings is to, I'm sorry, not listings, back up, is to reverse process. This is going back to leveraging buyers is, well, I guess I talked about that. So that's already in my notes. Sorry about that. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Where's the money? In real estate, where's the money? What do you have to do to make the most money? Where's the money? In real estate, in your business, what do you have to focus on the most?
Listings, oh,
Listings are leverage, but where's the actual money? What do you need to do to really ensure that you're consistently making money?
Oh, we gotta keep it going. Marketing.
Marketing, go ahead. Networking. What else?
social media, same thing.
So, on average, if you want to be considered, if you want someone to consider doing business with you, you need to engage with them at least 8 to 10 times in different ways. Yeah. So having a solid follow-up plan that allows you the opportunity to do that is where the money's at. The money's in the follow-up. You can go out there and make 1,000 phone calls. Okay? Make 1,000 phone calls. You could talk to, I'll even go even further. You can talk to 1,000 people. Maybe you get one transaction talking to 1,000 people. Because if you only talk to 1,000 people once, you got to find the one person who's like, oh, great conversation with you, Ann. Yes, I'll give you my listing right now. Not knowing who Ann is, not knowing who Rafi is, not knowing who Christina is. What are the chances of that happening? So difficult to find that person, right? So I would prefer you talk to 100 people 10 times. Because you're going to get way more business talking to 100 people 10 times than you are talking to 1,000 people. The same number of conversations, but you're going to get more business talking to 10 people, rather 100 people 10 times. Because every time you talk to a person, that's an opportunity for, as you build that relationship, for them to also say, hey, listen, you know what? I'm not actually ready right now, but my brother is. Let me get you guys connected. You know, I'm not ready right now. Let me get you connected with my friend. My friend is asking about real estate. You guys should get connected. That relationship that you build is the business. In residential real estate, like your business is highly connected to your ability to keep relationship. Otherwise, all you're doing is constantly building new business, which takes longer. This is why people, once they get into business, they stop doing expireds and for sale by owners. Highly experienced agents, unless they build a system around it, they usually start shying away from expireds and FSBOs. And where do they focus? Do you know?
The people they have, but I guess they lost them.
Yeah, on their sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Because the business they already had, those are people who already know and trust them and who will refer them more business. So rather than chasing new business all the time, it's not to say that they don't chase new business.
Just touch base on them.
Yeah, they just really have a great follow-up system for touching base with the people they already have, because those people will bring them business. So what I would say to you is figure out a really good follow-up plan. And please don't do follow-up, hey, I'm calling Rafi, I'm just calling you to check in.
All right, I'm good. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't want just a check-in, right? You want to, what are we doing every time we're talking to our sphere of influence?
We're giving them knowledge.
Giving them knowledge. We're making them smarter by having had a conversation with us.
The market's better now. You know anybody?
Even if it's not better.
Even
and the question is not even the question is, I'm sorry, let me back up. It's not even about better or good. The market's not good or bad. The market is the market, right? So when you say the market is good or bad, compared to what and for who, right? So that's a subjective, when it's a buyer's market, is it bad for the buyers? Probably. Is it good for is it bad for the sellers? Probably. But it's good for the buyers. If it's a seller's market, is it good for the buyers? Not exactly, but it's great for the sellers. And then even away from that, people don't buy based on good and bad markets. You don't see people going out, I'm going to buy a house today because the market's good. People don't do that. I'm going to sell my house because the market's good. They may be more willing to sell their house because the market is in their favor. They may be more willing to buy a house because the market is in their favor, but they don't make a decision to buy or sell a house because of that. They usually make a decision to buy or sell a house because of something happening in their lives, and they have different needs now. So people move because they have different needs, not because of where the market is. You understand? If people only moved when it was a good market for them, then you'd see buyers only buying during buyers markets and never buying during sellers markets. But what do we find? During a seller's market, buyers are all over the place. The reason why it's a seller's market is because buyers are in a frenzy trying to buy more homes. You see what I'm saying? So buyer's market, seller's market, like all that's there's no necessarily good or bad. It is what it is, right? What you have to do is help whoever you're talking to understand like what is their position in the market that exists right now, and how, like, what can they do to mitigate any risks and take advantage of any benefits. That's really what we're there to do. Help them understand what the market is, where are there risks for them, and where are there benefits for them, and then help them understand, how they can make the best decision possible in that process. And when you're at that level, this is education at a much higher level, right? Now you're doing full out consultations with people to educate them so that they can make distinctive and impactful decisions for their lives. Because we're not in the decision-making business. Are we in the decision-making business? No, we don't make decisions for anyone. What we do is we provide them with insight and information so that they can be empowered to make decisions for themselves. And when they feel that way, you become incredibly valuable because you're not trying to tell them what to do. You're making them powerful in that now they know and they can make a really powerful decision that will impact their families. So that's the approach you got to be thinking about. I talked about leveraging partners. So definitely do that. And then I would say, as we wrap up, is that get good at having conversations. Get good at it. I mean, like, take it seriously. Take the time to either write or follow existing scripts and practice with partners. Find a script partner to practice with and tell your partner, hey, listen, I need you to be a complete jerk to me. Tell them to be difficult, and then you want them to give honest and sincere feedback. I don't care if you offend me. I need to know. Your ability to have conversations is going to be a game changer for you. And let me give you an example of how that can work. So really quickly, just so you can see some numbers, okay? Let's say you talk to 1,000 people, right? You have 1,000 conversations, okay? And in those 1,000 conversations, you're able to get, let's say 100 appointments, okay? And in those 100 appointments, you're able to get, let's say 25 agreements. And from those 25 agreements, you're able to get 10 contracts. And from those 10 contracts that are written, right, you get 5 closings. right? So let's say that's what your numbers look like. So you're having plenty of conversations. You're getting 100 appointments, which is awesome. You're getting 25 agreements, which sounds pretty decent. You're getting 10 contracts, which is okay. And you're getting 5 closings, right? Now, when we're looking at conversion here, right? The conversion here, 100, what is the conversion here, right? What is it? Anyone know? 10%. Yeah, 10%. So we got 10% conversion there, right? What's the conversion here? It's exactly what you see. 25, yes, 25%. Right? What's the conversion from 25 to 10? That's a little harder. That's going to be like maybe 35%-ish, let's say. So let's say it's 35%, right? And then what's the conversion here? 50%? Let's say those are your numbers, okay? Now, if you were able to convert, let's say, so let's change this number here. Let's say you have 1,000 conversations and you're able to change that 10% to appointments to 20%, which means 200, and the rest of the percentages are the same, right? So what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? That means that this becomes 50, this becomes roughly 20, and this becomes 10. Your closings doubled because you were able to have better conversations. Do you see? In order for my closings to double, if I don't do this, I would have to talk to 2,000 people. So I could either talk to 2,000 people, or I can get better at conversations, right? And I convert at a higher level. And even if everything else, these are terrible numbers, by the way, but just say, let's assume that those are the numbers. Even if I'm able to have better conversations here, then I will be able to double my business. Does that make sense? So having good conversations is going to be highly impactful in the way that you are able to generate business, because it means that you don't have to talk to as many people to make the same money. And those conversations are not just at the top level. So yes, conversations to appointments. Yes, you have good conversations to get people to appointments. That's great. That's awesome. Be good at that, right? But if you're also good at the appointment to get them to sign more agreements because your conversations are really good, then you can increase that percentage. And then if you're really good at the agreements to get them to write a contract, because you can get them to understand that, hey, this is a good opportunity for you, you should write a contract, and then you know how to have a good conversation around that, then you increase your percentage of going under contract. That impacts your ability to make your ability to make more money. And then once you go under contract, your ability to solve problems and deal with any challenges so that the deals don't fall apart and keep them together because you have really good conversation and communication skills in that arena, that means that you keep more of those contracts that go to closing. All of those have exponential impact in your ability to generate money. You understand? So the better you are at having conversations with people at every level here, the more of an impact that's going to have in your business. And it starts with obviously lead gen. So if it starts with lead gen, be really good at that. And then once you get good at being able to gather information because you have good conversations at the lead gen side, now you got to get good at, now that you have leads in your pipeline, you got to get really good at turning those leads into appointments. What kind of conversations can you have to turn those leads into appointments? And then once you get into the appointment, what the heck are you saying at the appointment that's getting them to sign or not sign agreements? But here's what I see so many agents do, and I'm going to ask that you try to avoid doing this. They don't practice with peers, and they end up practicing with prospects. And I guarantee you that you're not going to be as successful practicing with prospects as you are practicing with peers. You don't want to practice with a prospect. You don't want to practice with a consumer. That's a person you're going to do business with. You want to be sharp when you talk to them. I mean, imagine, I want you to think about this for a second, right? Just think about this for a second. You have to go to a hospital and you got to get some surgery done. And the doctor is like, hey, I would normally practice on a cadaver, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and practice on you if that's okay. Would you be okay with that? Hell no.
You gonna keep on practicing.
Yeah. You better practice on someone else. You see what I'm saying? Like in any other business, you'd be like, that's ridiculous. But there's so many agents that just that's the way that they operate their business. They practice on consumers. You do not practice on your consumer. You do yourself and the consumer a disservice by doing so. You practice with your peers. Iron sharpens iron. You practice with your peers. You get solid on your conversations. And it's not to say that you're not going to flub things up or mess things up or trip over yourself from time to time, but you practice with your peers so that when you get in front of somebody, you can sound as sharp as possible and you can convert them at a higher level. And then when you're there, if you happen to misstep somewhere, you've done such a good job with everything else, then the misstep is seen as like, oh, okay, they're human. People are human. But you can't be, I don't know, and sounding like a freaking Neanderthal when you're having conversations with people. You don't want to practice with people. Please don't do that. So I highly recommend of all the things you do, yes, these are all going to be critical, but they're not going to be as impactful for you if you're not understanding how to have good conversations. And the best way to do that, we can sit in class and walk through some of those things, but honestly, the best thing you can do is find a peer and just have conversations. This is not like rocket science, right? We're humans having conversations. That's all it is. You're a human. I'm a human. We practice talking with each other. All I'm doing is I'm fine tuning what I want to communicate to you. That's all I'm doing, right? It's not like I'm learning how to talk. That's not what this is. Like I have some information that I know that I want to communicate to another person. How can I convey that to you in a way that's very easy for you guys to understand so that you're willing to see me as an expert and you want to work with me? Oh yeah, you know what? This person is making it very clear for me. I can't tell you how many people that their comment about me working with them was, you know what? I thought this was going to be really complicated, but the way that you explained everything just made it seem so much easier and simple. I felt so comfortable making decisions. I've heard that so many times. And it's not because I'm so awesome. It's because I practice a lot. I just practice all the time. I still practice. I have a script practice that I do every Monday morning. I do script practice. I've been doing this since 2017. I still practice. You know why? Because I'm a professional. That's what professionals do. We practice. Because I don't want to go sitting in front of somebody and them looking at me like, this guy's a freaking idiot. So please take the time to find yourself a script practice partner and practice conversations. Okay? Any questions about anything we talked about today? About anything at all? No? Everything look good? We're good? Awesome. All right. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.